It's the start of an all-new era over at Dodge because the company is finally ready to retire the old Charger and Challenger that dates back to the 2000 era. I'm at the 2022 Detroit International Auto Show, and this right here is the all-new 2024 Dodge Charger Daytona SRT Banshee concept. Let's take a first look. So we've been waiting for Dodge to introduce their version of an electric muscle car for years, and I have to say, this Charger Daytona SRT Banshee, which is a ridiculously long name, is still a concept, so I expect Dodge to eventually rename this vehicle. But you can see the front end looks a lot like a Challenger, which a lot of you may be confused because this is actually a Charger name on a two-door vehicle. But remember, the Charger used to offer a two-door for a lot of the earlier generations. This kind of harkens back to the 1970s era, more specifically the 1969 Charger. You can see the front end has their new logo. That's actually a logo that we haven't seen since the 50s and 60s, I believe. It's called Fratzog, that logo. It also lights up. It makes the vehicle look a lot more distinctive. I also love the LED light bar. A lot of these EVs are going with the full LED light bar. You've got this kind of flow-through style for the aerodynamics going through the grille over there, going over the hood. Dodge says that while aerodynamics are important for an EV, they were willing to sacrifice range in order to give this vehicle that classic muscle car design, but they are claiming it is the most aerodynamic muscle car that you can buy, which I guess for Dodge, that's very typical for them to do something like that. Now, looking at the side profile of this vehicle, I want to mention that this is a big vehicle. Dodge muscle cars have typically always been very large vehicles, and I don't have figures yet for how long the vehicle is in the overall length, but I do want to mention the wheels. Those are a 21-inch wheel riding on 305/30s in the front, while you also have fatter 325s at the back of the vehicle, which the body itself of this vehicle kind of makes the wheels look a little bit small. So the fact that it's very low and wide, it's kind of got that typical design silhouette that we expect from muscle cars. The door handles, you can see, are completely flush mounted, which again gives this a much more modern appearance to it. Now, moving along the rear of the vehicle, I want to show you guys the back, because that light bar that was carried over from the front is also evident on the back of the vehicle. And this is where, again, it looks very distinctive. Even though it's a concept car, it looks almost very basically production ready. You have that same Fratzog badge over there. And then the interesting part about the Charger Daytona Banshee is the fact that it actually has an exhaust system. Dodge actually was able to rev up this vehicle, rev up being in relative terms, using their Fratzonic exhaust chambers. Now, it basically means that Dodge is claiming it'll do around 120 decibels of a noise. That's why they call it a Banshee. This runs on the 800-volt architecture. And when they actually started this vehicle up and were revving it, it actually sounded like a screaming cat. So again, gone are the days of the screaming Hellcat V8. Instead, we have this really interesting electric sound, which they're claiming is because of their Fratzonic exhaust chamber, which is going to give it a really interesting characteristics, basically very befitting of a Dodge vehicle. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the sound. The interior, as you can see, sadly, I can't actually get in and show you guys that. Looks very modern. It has this really cool ambient red LED lighting that kind of goes around the entire dash of the vehicle. You have modern LCD screens, a curved display, along with a flat bottom steering wheel with the lit up SRT logo. This is still, remember, a concept car, so I'm not entirely sure what is going to make it to production. You can see it's got kind of like a 2+2 seating arrangement where you have 2 buckets in the front and 2 buckets in the back, and along with this racing style seat. It's a very nice looking interior that I suspect a lot of people are going to really appreciate. I also love the fact that Dodge seems to have improved the quality of the materials, and they also made the design just a lot more modern and distinctive. Now, you can see along the side over there, there's what appears to be a Hellcat badge. Now, even though this isn't a Hellcat badged vehicle, Dodge claims this is going to be faster than all the fastest versions of the Hellcat Challenger or the Charger because of the 800-volt architecture that this runs on. Remember, Banshee is what the 800-volt architecture means, which means this has the same quick charging architecture as something like the Porsche Taycan or the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6. We don't have any figures on the battery capacity, nor the range, nor the power. Dodge says that they're going to offer multiple different power levels. Obviously, I can't open up the hood. This is technically a hatchback. The rear was able to lift up earlier, where you could see that it actually has the practicality of something like a liftback. So we don't know if this vehicle has a frunk, but they are claiming, like I said, it will be quicker in terms of acceleration versus a Hellcat. And they also are claiming a multi-speed transmission. Now, multi-speeds is pretty vague. I'm gonna suspect this has a 2-speed transmission like the Porsche Taycan or the Audi e-tron GT. But in terms of range, I would hope that Dodge would target something around 400 miles. And being that this is an all-new EV architecture, we should be seeing something like this eventually show up in early 2024, because I mentioned earlier, this is a 2024 model year type vehicle. Now, in terms of pricing, sadly, I don't have any information on pricing just yet. The current Challenger is one of the most affordable ways that you can get speed, but obviously with something like this, Dodge needs to keep it affordable because that's always been their formula: offer tons of horsepower for not much money. Which they're going to be able to do by offering multiple versions of this vehicle. Just know that as we get closer to the target on sale date, sometime in early 2024, we should be able to give you guys more information as Dodge releases it as we go further on into the model year 2023 and then eventually 2024. But hope you guys have enjoyed my very brief first look overview on this really long named concept vehicle. For Redline Reviews here at the 2022 Detroit International Auto Show, I'm Sofyan Bey.